I just ask you to bear with me a little bit just because if I start yelling, it's because I went to a Van Halen concert last night and I'm still really tone deaf and I just physically cannot hear myself. So, yeah. All right, so when I was writing this, I was told I had to incorporate the scripture of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 13 through 16. So I read it first, and then I tried to dissect it and find out what it truly meant to me and how it could relate to this church. So here we go. Matthew chapter 5, verse 13 says, "Let me tell you why you are here. You are here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness, and you will end up in the garbage." My first occurrence at this church is one I will most assuredly never forget. My friend, my brother, Bobby Weens, dragged me here to youth group. And I say dragged me here because it was a time in my life where I really wasn't into going to church anymore. I was still angry towards God for taking my dad away. So he really did drag me there. I wasn't kicking and screaming all the way there, but in my head I didn't want to go. But unknowns to me, when I arrived there, I would meet the biggest salt shaker of them all, Lisa Smith. We started out by playing a game, and not one of our famous games like Chaos vs. Control or Ultimate Dodgeball, which are awesome, by the way. We started out playing just a simple, average game of spoons, which turned into absolute chaos with Bobby and Mandy. As you know, Bobby, when he loses, he gets that little strut where he walks around like, ah! It was absolute chaos, and it really just made me laugh hysterically, and I never had more fun in my life playing spoons with complete strangers. Lisa made me feel just so welcome, and she even afterwards came up to me and told me, "I know maybe this wasn't the best first experience here, but I promise it gets better. The more people come, please come back anytime. We would love to have you." And boy, did she not know what a mistake she made, because I came back. It became a weekly experience that I would look forward to every week after school. They kept me in touch with God, and I thank her for that every day. This church has helped me keep my saltiness, and this church has kept me out of the garbage with its countless trips and fun activities. Like the trips we went up where that I don't even remember where it was at, but it was the super long bus ride where I ended up falling asleep standing up on the bus. And if it were not for my friend Kevin Burns, when the bus driver slammed the brakes on, I would have gone flying forward, knocking myself out onto the floor. The crazy midnight Denny's runs where Bobby and Kevin would try to out-eat each other with grand slams, and I would just laugh as they had stomach aches and on the verge of puking. Josh putting ketchup in his milkshakes as I would laugh and wonder, what an odd child. I love you, by the way, Josh. Or my first real trip with the church wasn't with my youth group, it was with the junior hires like Kelvin. Me and my friend Dylan Ramsey were camp counselors of these 6 just crazy boys that were, and girls too, like Marley. And it was just honestly, I think I almost got more out of it than they did. It was just such an amazing trip, and I'll go into more detail later along in my speech, but I just had to say something about it. Verse 14 says, "You are here to be the light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We are going public with this, as public as a city hill." And boy, does Lisa make anything public. She tries to make everyone come together, and just in doing some even just mindless activity, the only purpose is to learn something about God and to make everyone closer as friends. when it says you're here to be light, that is where camp counseling with Kelvin up at Calvin Crest really started, because I really connected with those boys, and at a certain point, not only did I physically see light when I was up at one of the Yosemite mountains looking down at what God had created, not only did I physically see the light, I could actually feel the light inside of me. It was an experience that is something that was it was amazing, it was beautiful. I could see God's creation right in front of my eyes, and I was absolutely mind-blowing. And just standing there with all my newly found 8th grade and 7th grade friends, I just realized that no matter what problems I have in my life, this is it right here, and I accept it, and I love it, and I embrace it. Verse 15 says, "If I make you light barriers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine." Is this podium not my hilltop or my light stand? I get to proclaim all this joy and all this faith in this one senior reflection. I am physically living out this scripture through this piece of paper that Lisa told me to write. God encompasses almost everything in my life. There are just times where I'm just like, how do you do that? Like this scripture, when I was reading it, I thought of this line, and I just thought, I'm physically living out this scripture. And it just blows me away how that he can relate back to this. I absolutely adore, love, cannot embellish more about this church. It really has saved me. All these people, all my friends, all my new friends, they had just so many great memories. Not only do I get to be surrounded by amazing people like Lisa or Dawn or Kevin, Tiffany, Benny, Bobby, Spencer, Kelvin, I could go on with all these people, but I get to just have so much amazing fun with them while learning about God. Whether it be right before a game, me and Spencer taunting each other, "Get off me, child's play!" Or me, Kevin, and his brother having inside jokes like "BW," or first meeting Pastor Frank with laser tag and having stupid code names like Dr. Knockers, and making a fun short film with Don Everts about a rogue panda bear killing machine voiced by Bobby Weens called Pandemonium. I get to join in freeing group discussions about God and not be judged, and there's nothing greater than that. I get to have my light shine at this church. Verse 16 says, "Keep open house, be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open with God, this generous Father in heaven." This church has always been an open door and an open house when I needed it most. Especially with Lisa. One time I was going through some girl issues, and I needed someone to talk to that was not my mother. And so I called Lisa and I asked if we could have a little meet. And we met at the church fellowship hall, which started at 12 o'clock, and I think we were there till like 4 o'clock, just talking about, it was one subject matter, but Lisa and I kept it going and encompassed God in it and how it relates back to me and what I could do for about 4 hours. And it was something I'll never forget, and it was really helpful. This church is unbelievably generous that I am so glad I'm a member of, especially with that weekend boot camp with confirmation. And I'm just so grateful to everyone, especially my mom, for especially always pushing me to get involved. So that's been my senior year. I hope that you all have enjoyed my speech as much as I've enjoyed this year. Thank you.